Hello everyone and welcome to the Aidia Brush channel. Here I'll be sharing my creative process with you. Before we dive in, I would like to acknowledge something. If I sound a little shaky or like I'm reading from a script, it's because speaking, even for recordings, can make me anxious. It's not always like this. Sometimes I can speak just fine, but other times the anxiety shows up without warning. I haven't figured out what exactly causes it. I guess it's just a weird quirk from my autism. Still, I didn't want this video to be just text on a screen. I know that can feel a bit flat, and I also want to make sure my content is accessible for people who are dyslexic or simply prefer listening over reading. So even though this is a challenge for me, I'm pushing through and narrating it anyway. Quick disclaimer, when I say I'm autistic, I was diagnosed with Asperger's back in middle school, though I can't remember the exact year. Since Asperger's is now considered part of the autism spectrum, I identify as autistic. I also live with a psychology major who has observed and affirmed that I show traits of both autism and ADHD. And honestly, based on everything I've read and the fact that I relate to every ADHD meme on Instagram, I believe them. So while I'm not entirely self-diagnosed, I also haven't gone through a formal reevaluation. Now, onto why I'm making this video. I've had these stories in my head for years, and I'm finally ready to share them. But I can't do it alone. I'm hoping for your support to help make these dreams a reality. This video is a time-lapse of my drawings so you can see my art process in action. Honestly, I've been hesitant to share it before because my process isn't neat or step-by-step. I just wing it. Part of the reason I'm making this is to show that I do create my own art. Lately, I've seen a lot of AI art accusations going around. I don't condemn people who use AI, as long as they're upfront about it, but I personally don't see AI generators as artists. To me, it's more like commissioning a piece than creating it yourself. And I do feel strongly that artists' work shouldn't be used to train AI without their consent. Consent matters. So this video isn't about perfection, it's about transparency. My art style isn't always consistent, and once you see my chaotic process, I think you'll understand why. It's not always polished, but it's real, and it's mine. Because of that, I think a lot of people overlook how useful AI can be as a tool, especially when used with transparency and care. That's why I want to be upfront about how and when I use AI. I never pass off AI-generated art as my own, especially given the concerns about AI models being trained on artists' work without permission. When I do generate AI art, it's strictly for personal use or inspiration. However, recently I did generate 2 AI images specifically to build a fictional text message thread for a story. But that's the exception, not the norm. I still prefer drawing with my own hands, and that's where my heart is. The only place I use AI in my creative process is for writing and scripts, like this one, which I revised and co-wrote with Copilot. But let me be clear, the stories, the ideas, the heart behind them, those are all mine. My challenge is getting the words out. Tools like ChatGPT help me find my voice when my brain and mouth don't quite sync up. I've seen people say that anything written with AI isn't worth reading. As someone with autism and ADHD, that hits hard. Yes, it frustrates me, but I'm not here to aim that frustration at those people. I get it. If communication comes natural to you, it can be hard to imagine what it's like for someone who struggles with it. That's why I choose to believe those comments come from a place of not knowing, because many people simply aren't aware that disabilities can affect both verbal and written communication. Too often people mistake difficulty expressing yourself for a lack of intelligence. That's not just wrong, it's harmful. For me, AI isn't a replacement for my voice. It's a bridge. It helps me shape my thoughts into something clearer, something I'm proud to share. Now, onto my art process. I've tried watching countless art tutorials, but most of them didn't click for me. I couldn't follow the steps, and I often felt more confused than inspired. But then, while browsing through those videos, I stumbled across the best piece of advice I've ever heard. Don't compare your art to others. That, along with the reminder to take breaks, good art takes time, completely changed my mindset. Those words helped me realize that realistic art isn't the only valid form of expression. With that in mind, my confidence started to return. Now, I just draw, without worrying about perfection, without trying to fit into someone else's process. I create in my own way, and that's enough. Anyway, when I start a piece, I usually sketch it out on paper first. It just feels more natural to me. Once the sketch is done, I scan it into my computer and trace over it digitally. I know some artists jump straight to digital, but for me, starting on paper helps me loosen up and get the idea out without overthinking. This is Chef Liem Vuen, by the way, with his pet pig Bacon, which I know probably seems odd that a chef goblin would have a pet pig, but the joke is that he struggles to not eat his pet. That's it for now. Thanks so much for watching and spending time with me. If you would like to see more of my work, like and subscribe to my channel, and I do have a Ko-fi and an Arco page where I share my art and character designs. I'm no longer active on Instagram, but I also create dress-up games on Make Here, which has been a really fun way to bring my characters to life in a different format. Thanks again, and I hope you stick around for what's next.